Welcome back to Our Ventura TV. I'm Lyn Fairly, and I'm always pleased to be here, and I have yet again another wonderful guest. Welcome, Ron Baldonado.
Thank you, Lyn.
Ron Baldonado, you've been a friend of mine now for a couple of years, and it's just been great to know you. I really appreciate knowing you and everything that you do in Ventura. But tell us a little bit about where you come from, where you grew up, and how you got to where you are today.
Born and raised in Oxnard, and went to Oxnard Public School, Oxnard High School, Catholic, of course. Did my confirmation and all, basically in Santa Clara Church. Got married in Santa Clara Church. I got a job in 1980 in the oil fields became a very 30-year friend of mine, Dennis, and I always liked Ventura. So in 1980, I moved here and switched church, and consequently, the owner of the company was a big fan of the Catholic Church, and he made anything that was he donated. I was the one who he picked to go out and do things for the Ventura mission. So I've been in public service for 30 years. I was a member of the Rotary Club for 7 years, Ventura East, and my kids came along. It was a little bit too busy, so I stepped aside, and later on my father became ill, and he was a knight for 30 years at the council over in Oxnard, and he had always wanted to be a baby knight.
The Knight of Columbus.
I took the Knight of Columbus.
And in fact, on June 22nd of this year, you are now the Grand Knight.
I am.
So what is the Grand Knight?
The Grand Knight
That's the big deal, isn't it?
Would be an equivalent of a president of Rotary or the exalted ruler of the Elks or something like that. So essentially it's the president of the club. You're facilitator of the council.
And that's why you look so well dressed today. I want you to notice that there's a kind of a sash or something on this beautiful tuxedo, the bow tie and everything. And the Knights of Columbus, you need to tell the viewers what exactly that is, because not everybody's heard of it. And I believe you are chapter number 2498, is that right? Of many in the United States.
Correct. We call them councils, and other people call them chapters, American Legion and whatnot. So we use the word council. And I was sworn in, so to speak, into the position of Grand Knight on June 22nd. I went through they call them council chairs, which are like a warden and then a chancellor and then a deputy Grand Knight, and then you become Grand Knight. So I held various positions within the Knights of Columbus, and now I'm facilitator of the council.
Tell us what the Knights of Columbus represent, what they do. I believe it is a Catholic charity and a non-profit organization. Is that correct?
In a nutshell, all these clubs have an interesting history, and a very quick answer is because of the Industrial Revolution, you were no longer a cobbler, and you were no longer a merchant, and everybody had an identity to what they did. And because of the Industrial Revolution, people went to work in factories, and they lost their identities. And this is where these clubs, the Foresters, the Masons have been here forever, the Eagles, the Elks, the Moose. Men found identities in joining these organizations and family and community and things like that. And essentially, that's where all this came from. Where we came from is the fact that Catholics on the East Coast were not well looked upon. When the householder died, the children were, if the spouse could not support these children, the children would be placed in orphanage.
Oh.
And so Father McGivney, he spent a lot of time with the Catholic Church going to court and pledging support for his flock, to keep the family together. In essence, that's where he had a vision, and essentially the Knights of Columbus was born from there.
Oh, that's interesting.
I would like to point out something real quick.
Please.
This is the uniform of the 4th degree, and we have some pretty exclusive members: John F. Kennedy, Mike Ditka, Guy Lombardo, the Green Bay Packers. We have Sergeant Shriver. We donated $1.4 million to Special Olympics this year for 2050, the Special Olympics this year. My goodness. So we have a lot of Justice. Help me with
Alito.
That. Alito
Justice Alito
is a 4th
is
degree
also
knight.
a member. Is that right?
So we have tons of people that are that are Knights of Columbus.
My goodness,
the
that's
list
so
is long.
impressive. Yeah, that's remarkable.
The list is long.
And so what do you do today in Ventura? What does your chapter or your council do here in Ventura?
For those of you that have a history, that know the history of Ventura, believe it or not, our council, the Lagomarcinos,
Yes.
There's a few other people, but the guy that started G&S Lumber, people like that, they purchased that building in 1952, which was the Mission Theater.
Is that right? I never knew that.
That was the Mission Theater.
And that's located on Figueroa Street?
That's correct, 36 Figueroa Plaza.
36 Figueroa Plaza.
And at the time, they purchased that for $15,000.
Oh, my word.
Everybody put their money in the bucket. They took out a $6,000 loan from Ventura Realty, which is still around, and they got this loan and they bought that building. And in order to get revenue, the funny thing about that is, in order to get revenue, they rented the front half of that out. And half of that was Tony's Pizzeria.
Oh.
That's where Tony's Pizzeria started,
that's
was
funny.
in the front of that building.
I'll be darned.
So we support many charities. We have a lot of signature events. We'll get into that in a minute.
We have a big one coming up.
We do. We have a couple of them. So.
And also you can rent out that space, I think, if you want to.
We have a ballroom that we rent out.
And a full catered kitchen and that sort of thing.
Full catered kitchen, and it's not your average. It's a hall, but it's there's a word that I'm searching for.
Oh, it's charming.
It's charming, and it's
very
part of
charming.
Ventura.
Yes, it is. There's a lot of Ventura there.
It's old Ventura.
Yeah. And I think I've seen a lot of events there, one of which was St. Patrick's Day, where you have all those little Irish girls in there dancing, the Celtic dances and so forth, and everybody was wearing green and drinking green beer, and there's been all kinds of events there I've attended and had quite a good time. And the one coming up that I'm excited about, of course, is Public Safety Night. Now that's something you started along with, I think, Jim Monahan helped you put that together, and a few other members of the council, correct?
You, for instance, thank you for being our MC this year.
My pleasure.
You've been a tremendous help. Chief Corney is a big supporter. Jim Monahan is a 30-year, I forget, over 30 years. Jim's father was a Grand Knight in that council.
I didn't know that.
I believe it was 43 or 44. He was the Grand Knight of that council. Jim's been a member for 60-some years. And Ken, my wife's a deputy probation officer for 25 years. So there's been a lot of support to keep this going, and it's unique because of the fact that we honor multiple agencies. We have the DA's department, we have the probation, we have, and this year you've helped us with the crime lab. We have both city and county fire departments, and we have I think I left a couple out. I'm
Police,
not sure. We
Highway
had
Patrol, Sheriff.
Highway Patrol, and the Ventura Harbor this year.
Oh, the harbor, that's right. The
That's
big
right.
special thing for the harbor.
Special for
Yes.
Scott Miller, is retiring after 35 years of service, public service.
And that's on the Friday night, the 26th of September. And it's called Public Safety Night because it's the public's invited. And so it's really important that you come to this. I'm kind of making a call to action here for the public to attend because you get the chance to meet all the different departments that serve you, your civic servants, and see who's being awarded, because each department chooses the best of the best and they recognize their top employee of the year. And so what we did last year, because I was the MC last year too, is it kind of struck me that it was similar to the Oscars. Because I would call up who was presenting, and then they would hand the award, and then there would be pictures and a little speech, and it was kind of that pace. And I thought, this is just like the Oscars, so why don't we call it the Lawskers? So we are calling it again the Lawskers, and we do encourage the public to attend this event because it is for you, and you do get to know, and you can come up and take pictures with, and maybe get autographs, and meet the people that do sacrifice their lives and their time for your safety.
There's 4 tenets to our order, and in our order we have the first tenet and the degree, which is called as charity. The second degree is unity. The third degree is fraternity, and the fourth degree is something you would like: patriotism. Patriot fairly. So going back to this, as far as the patriotism and honoring all these agencies that are responsible as a cohesive unit, my daughter had a friend who wants to be law enforcement, and I encouraged her to bring this boy, and I said, you know, young man, you will not get another chance to meet all the agencies, the facets of public safety in one place in one night. So I encourage you to come, and you can get a chance to see the whole chain that protects us day in and day out.
And it's only $20, and you can have drinks if you're old enough, dinner, and you get to sit through the ceremony, which isn't long. It's fun. It's fun. Interesting. And again, it's very important. I'm glad you brought up the youth, because I was going to ask you if you had a message for youth today to tell us what that would be, and also how old do you have to be to join the Knights of Columbus?
The Knights of Columbus, so you have to be 18 years old. And we had a squires, but kids today they have so many things to do. We used to have a squires program, but the kids have they have all these other things, Facebook and Twitter and all these other things, activities all over, where years ago they didn't have all these activities. But I encourage the kids to get involved in public service, because as I wrote in my article, I read a monthly article, I stressed the fact that there's nothing like a cohesiveness of a group, whether it's Rotarians, whether it's Masons, whether it's Moose or Elks or something like this. The camaraderie and the brotherhood and sisterhood that you get out of being part of something bigger than yourself on a day-to-day basis is what life's all about.
I agree. That's a terrific message for the youth. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Are women allowed in the Knights of Columbus?
Absolutely. I'm probably going to start a women's chapter, Lady Knights. We just call them Lady Knights or Ladies of the Knights. You don't want to call them,
you don't want to call them that. Just
Ladies
Lady
of the
Knights.
But there are women's chapters, and wives do get together, and we look for the support, we look for the input. We have if it weren't for the women organization, I do not believe the St. Patrick's Day would come off as well as it does.
Ah, it's interesting.
The St. Patrick's Day is phenomenal.
It's really fun. And coming up soon, you mentioned we have another event, is the Wounded Warriors Ride.
Oh, that's amazing.
That was amazing, because I participated in that last year as well. These wounded warriors, and they truly are wounded, many of them are amputees, ride their bikes all the way down from Palo Alto up north near San Francisco, all the way down to, I think, Santa Monica, right?
That's correct.
Santa Monica. It takes them about 5 or 6 days, right?
It does.
And they stop here in Ventura, and there's hundreds of them that come in on their bikes, because they ride it in sections, you know, in maybe, what is it, something like 10 miles a day or more, actually, something like 20 miles a day, I think.
Somewhere 20 or, I didn't actually calculate the mileage, but they do start on a Sunday and they end on a Saturday, so it's a 7-day, and they call it the California Challenge.
The California Challenge.
This Wounded Warriors California, this segment's the California Challenge.
And so you can find that online under woundedwarriors.com or woundedwarriorschallenge.com. Click on California and you'll see the route. They don't have feet, they don't have legs, they don't have hands, some of them.
Some of them are burnt 90% of their bodies.
Burnt 90% of their body, men and women, and they ride all the way down, and they will be at the Knights of Columbus on October 10th. October 10th, and you can be there too to receive them. So that's also a very exciting event. Ron Baldonado, doesn't this go fast? We are near the end of our segment here on Ventura TV today. Is there one last thing you'd like to say?
Very quickly, the Wounded Warriors California Challenge is we host the event in conjunction with the American Legion. The American Legion cooks, we house them, and we provide the hall. And the nice thing about the Friday night is that's their award ceremony.
Wonderful. Please attend it, and thank you so very much for tuning in to Our Ventura TV.